Assalamualaikum everyone. Today, my group and I will be presenting the case of HSBC Bank Malaysia Berhad versus the National Union of Bank Employees or NUBE. Before we start our presentation, let us first introduce our group members. My name is Muhammad Azim Hakimi bin Abdullah Sani. My metric numbers F1014. Next, Muhammad Aidin bin Muhammad Safiri F1027. And lastly, Muhammad Farish Amshah bin Abdul Razak F1061.
Okay, now let's move on to the table of content for our presentation. This slide gives an overview of what we will be covering today. First, we will start with the case summary where we will briefly explain the background and context of the case that we have chosen. Next, we will go into the introduction and background of the company or union to help you understand the organization and the parties involved in the dispute. Then, we will discuss the industrial dispute or issues which highlights the main conflict or problem that occur between the employer and employees. After that, we will explain the details of involvement and process where we describe the steps taken by both sides, including mediation or legal process if any. Following that, we will move to the settlement section where we will share how the dispute was resolved and the final decision made by the involved parties. And lastly, we will end with our conclusion summarizing the key lessons and outcomes from the case.
Okay, so firstly, let me begin with the brief case summary. So this case involved HSBC Bank Malaysia, Union of Bank Employees or NUBE. This issue started when new officer participated in industrial action and made public criticism against HSBC, including the use of the hashtag HSBC liar on social media while picketing ongoing trade dispute. Due to this action, HSBC dismissed the employee on the ground of misconduct. The union challenged this decision, and the matters was eventually brought to industrial court under the Industrial Relation Act 1967. So, HSBC Bank Malaysia is a major international bank operating locally with strict political on employee conduct and corporate reputation. Meanwhile, NUBE is a national trade union representing bank workers across Malaysia focusing on protecting employee welfare, right and fair treatment. The dispute began when a new member who was also an HSBC employee publicly criticized the bank over unresolved labor issues. His criticism, which was shared during protests and on social media, eventually led to his dismissal by HSBC.
Now let's take a look on the industrial dispute and issues. So, the central issues in this case is the dismissal of a National Union of Bank Employees officer by HSBC. The employee had taken part in lawful picketing and protests related to labor disputes. HSBC dismissed him, stating that his public criticism, including posts such as hashtag HSBC liar, damaged the bank's reputation and amount to misconduct. The National Union Bank of Employees argued that the dismissal was unjust and represented victimization of a union officer performing legitimate union duties. So, the dispute essentially revolved around two competing rights: the employee's right to freedom of association and the employee's right to manage discipline. Moving on to the detail of involvement and process involved. As a union representative, the employee joined a peaceful protest and used online platform to highlight the union's concern. HSBC issues a dismissal letter categorizing this action as a serious misconduct. The National Union of Bank Employees respond by filing a complaint under the Industrial Relation Act 1967, arguing that the termination was unfair. The case first went through conciliation at the Industrial Relation Department. Since no settlement was achieved, the Minister of Human Resources referred that the matter to the Industrial Court. During the hearing, the National Union of Bank Employees presented evidence that the protests were lawful, non-violent, and tied to actual employment grievance.
Okay, so now I explain about the settlement. So the industrial court ruled in favor of the employee. So the court found that the dismissal was without just cause or excuse. It concluded that the employee's action were lawful union activities, protected under Section 4 and 5 of the Industrial Relation Act 1967. This, provi- this provision prohibit employees from penalizing employees for participating in trade union activities because the employee was performing his role as a union officer in a good faith. HSBC had no legal basis to terminate him.
In conclusion, this can reinforce the protection of trade union rights in Malaysia. It clearly states that employees cannot be punished for engaging in lawful industrial action. The case also highlights the importance of fair industrial relations and responsible leadership. Employers should prioritize negotiation and constructive engagement rather than retaliatory action. The HSBC and NUBE case demonstrate the vital function of unions in promoting justice and communication within the workplace, and how the tripartite system involving employers, employees, and the government to ensure fair dispute resolution.